Hey, good Wednesday morning, guys. Michael Clark here with BAM Weather. It is Wednesday, April 10th, just a little before 10 a.m. Eastern Time, and this is the third time of me actually trying to record this video. And so, that's fun. It's exciting to, it's one of those days where, just everything is really working against me today. Everything, literally, in my life is working against me today. So those are the types of days that you just have to laugh and keep on keeping on. So anyways, let's take a look at the latest here in terms of long range, the outlook here. It's Wednesday. We want to share it with all of you and kind of give you the latest thought process here. This is a look at the temperature departures from the last 30 days, just from in terms of temperatures from normal. Relatively been warm across the Deep South and across the Ohio Valley, the Mid-Atlantic, the Northeast. For the most part, just warmer than average, colder than average across the Northern Plains and the desert Southwest. Precipitation, this is an interesting plot because one thing we're noticing is an area of dryness that kind of continues to hang around is here across the central U.S. The forecast here over the next 2 weeks is very wet and it's very active, especially even today. We have a big system coming in tonight into tomorrow that can bring a lot of rain, especially across the Ohio Valley. But we've continued to note persisting dryness across the Central Plains, and that's what I kind of want to dive into a little bit today is kind of that outlook, going forward with that in mind, that it could continue to run drier across the Central Plains, wetter in the east as we go forward. So this is a look at Clarity, our platform this morning. This is our soil moisture percentile index, where we look at that Sportless index that's from NASA, and it kind of talks about the 0 to 100 centimeters down of soil moisture percentiles. Updates daily, and it's cool because you can interrogate this map, click around. Regardless, what it's telling us is we've seen a huge reduction in the soil moisture deficits here, and we will continue. I mean, we're going to continue to chisel away at this even. What we're noticing, obviously, again, is just how dry it is, and I think can continue to be, at least for a time out here, which is what I want to kind of get into as going forward. Again, I talked about a big system being possible here over the next 24 hours. This is a look at the forecasted rainfall here over the next 24 hours across Arkansas, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, portions of western Tennessee and Kentucky, and then again across the Deep South. In fact, there's some risks here of some significant rainfall, some localized flash flooding across the Deep South, even into possibly portions of the Ohio Valley, where a lot of rain is forecast the next 24 hours. Again, another tool of Clarity. This map updates hourly, and you can also interrogate it as well and get that forecast information for 24-hour rainfall totals. And then for whatever location you're on, over here on the right, it gives you an hour-by-hour breakdown that you can click on and get a ton of information. It's really, really cool. At the Ag Focus screen gives you a spray forecast and all kinds of stuff. But I always like to show that off when I'm talking about these videos. This is a look at the European model. All right, European model here. Again, you can see this big storm system coming up across the deep south of the Ohio Valley up into the north and east. Brings a cold front, temperatures plunge, and again, like I mentioned, the big multi-day rainfall totals here from the latest European model. I do want to zoom in and show you kind of some zoomed in totals. Arkansas, southeast Missouri, southeast Illinois, again, western Tennessee, Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio, Michigan. South central Michigan, you need the rain. This is a great system to bring a lot of rain in before the planting season gets up and running. So I don't think there's going to be any complaints with the rainfall there. Again, if you look west, it's where we continue to run a little bit drier. I want to show you the week 1 forecast. It's very warm, relevant to normal or in comparisons to normal. This is a warm outlook. It's very, very warm for mid-April. Week 2, we continue to keep things at or above normal in the extreme eastern third of the U.S. A cold front works in here in this time frame, brings temperatures at or slightly below normal, especially for the western plains. But you can see just again how active it is here in the week 1 time frame across the areas we've beat into the ground. Where it's continuing to run not so active is areas to the west. And, even out into week 2, the same areas that are active now may continue somewhat to run active or above normal. This is the European model. This is the GEFS weather model at the same time. They're very similar. There's really not a big difference. There's the Canadian. It's a little bit wetter further west. I think it's an outlier. But regardless, when you look at this over the next 2 weeks, you look at the European model the next 2 weeks, and you can see what I'm talking about with the divide. You can see just how wet it is and is progged to be here, and just how dry it continues to run here. Okay, so concerns mounting there in that regard. It's dry there, and precipitation continues to evade to the east. The week 2 temperature forecast, the probabilistic forecast. So this is a percentage from, telling us, hey, there's a 80 to 90% chance the East Coast is above normal, but there's not a big signal for warmth in the central U.S. in week 2. Again, like I said, as that front comes through, it's at to slightly below normal. Looking out into weeks 3 and 4, there's not a smoking gun to this outlook. This isn't a crazy high confidence or a crazy low confidence extended forecast. It's kind of run of the mill. The CFS Weekly is probably a good approach at this distance with that particular idea. Week 3, it dries out because the front comes through. I do think late April into May, a couple of things can happen. You can see precip on the left turns drier, week 3 and 4. And week 3 and 4 temps on the right, there's a cold front in here. And those are some of those, as Brett has alluded to, it's been in our reports, those are some of those late April, early May frost concerns that are still on the table. I think that as we rumble into May, that conditions get better for the potential at, just getting out and getting field work done and getting planting going. They progressively get better as we get closer to that time frame. Again, that's the week 3 and 4 idea. This is the analogs we're running with right now. And what these analogs are, 98, 2000, 2010, 2011, 2022, what these analogs are, guys, is these are analogs where we have a big cool Pacific, a negative PDO, post-Nino getting into Nina. That PDO and that cooling down of the Pacific is a big signal right now. In fact, the PDO is, I think I was told this morning by the team, it's the third strongest negative PDO in a declining El Nino in history. I think our other ones are 2020 and maybe 1952 are some of the years here. But what we've done is we've looked at, okay, how do these years perform in the current month, like right now? Recall the outlooks I just showed you from the European model. Precipitation fairly close, with the exception of it being wetter down here, okay, wetter along the coast. Precipitation overall, wetter here, drier here in April. Week 2, we're warm right now, but there's some indications this current pattern right now, cooler to the east, warmer in the west. These analogs generally fit the picture. They're generally not bad with the general idea for April, which tells us they can be useful as we go into May. All right, and so the idea using these years going forward does suggest that it can stay wetter than average in the Ohio Valley, all right, and up into the north and east. It does also, however, suggest, listen, let's kind of prog this area here for above normal precip. It does, however, suggest that continued dryness may linger across the Central Plains. That's the concern that I have here going into May, is that we've already had some of our customers reach out in Kansas. Hey, where's the rain? I'm concerned the dryness can persist. The signal is that the warmth can rule out and May can end up being warmer than average. I don't have a reason to disagree after we start the first few days cooler, perhaps. That's the general thought process using this analog approach. And again, like I said, the analogs are not performing badly right now. Okay, so if we take that with the idea of let's look at the updated, idea for summer. Let's look at, let's take these years. We're also going to factor in 2 additional years for the summer that include the Atlantic and the potential for possibly the most active, intense hurricane season we've ever seen, by the way. We are concerned about that. But my updated, analysis here for summer continues to hint at a couple of things. I think it's going to be a very hot summer. I think we're going to have a couple of pretty intense heat waves across the Corn Belt. Okay, with the La Nina, anytime the negative or the AAM can go negative, and we can get a big surge of a ridge and heat coming in, I think there can be some heat. I think we're going to be battling some heat this summer. Perhaps one of the hottest summers on record. I'm going to go ahead and say that. Okay, especially from an energy demand perspective. Note what you're seeing in here, where you can kind of make hints of precipitation in that pattern, drier to the south. Okay, note the core of the warmth here. That's the idea of what, again, what we call these ridge riders, these northwest flow thunderstorm clusters. You can kind of see it in the pattern. I think this summer features precipitation, perhaps in the form of wind-damaging clusters, thunderstorms, with heat. And that's why, really, all along, regardless of the outlook so far, the outlook's trending in a direction of possibly active thunderstorm clusters and heat for the summer outlook. We've not been in favor of any type of record yields forecasted this year. In fact, I think it can be a below trend yield for the summer. So with these years in mind, that's the current thought process. A very hot summer, potentially a very stormy summer that can impact the corn crop, okay, or the crop in general, the Corn Belt in general. And these are those years right here. This is a look at those analog years. Plotted against the trend line, they equal out to about, a bushel and a half below trend, especially the last 4 most recent years, 2022, 2020, 2011, and 2010. All of those years, in fact, finished below the trend. And they kind of featured this general idea. So with that in mind, that's kind of the latest thought process. I don't think it's a year that can be totally destructive like a horrible corn or just crop in general, beans and corn. But that summer forecast, especially in the western and southwestern third of the growing regions, main growing regions of the U.S., I'm concerned about. Concerned about potentially extending prolonged dryness and heat risks. Southern Nebraska, western Missouri, Iowa, into Kansas, Oklahoma areas. Okay. So that's the general thought process right now. We'll continue to monitor this. We're getting closer to summer, trying to hone in on ideas and and do the best that we can with the long range projections. So thank you for checking out the video. Share it with a friend, send it to a friend, and we'll update you again next week, guys. Have a great week.